Okay, my pocket is all held together now. And what I want to do is I want to make this a flip, of course. So we can't just glue this down. I mean, we could, you know, but why should we? So we're going to make this a little flip that goes like this. So this pocket is actually going to flip out like that. So what I want to do is I want to do something on this side for that to happen. So the first thing I have to do is I want to have this string that I have to be a tie for this, this pocket here. So I have to somehow attach it to the back here, and we want to kind of make it so it's not, you know, going to be super visible. So I'm going to decide how much I need first. So let me just do a little practice tie here. That's pretty generous, I think. So let me just make a little cut here so I can move this out of the way. Okay, so we know that we need about this much to keep this tied together. And I'll probably cut some more of this off later, but like I said, I just wanted to be sure I had it, you know, exactly where I wanted it. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out my gum tape again, and I'm going to pull off a piece that is just about as wide as the back here. And I am going to cut it down a little, so I don't necessarily need it as wide. And then I'll maybe cut this down a little too. Like that. And then I'm going to move everything out of the way, because once I start putting water on this, I don't want to get it messed up. Now, I am going to try to be sure that this is right in the middle. So I have to make sure that's right where I want it before I put my gum tape down. And we're just going to put it right on top so that it holds that together. So I'm just going to grab my paintbrush here, just so I just want to activate the glue. I don't want to get it everywhere, although I, you know, probably will. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, now, and I'm going to make sure I have the edge of my string there, my twine, taken care of just like that. And let's go ahead and let that dry. Okay, this is still drying, but I think I'm going to use my gum tape again to attach this piece. So I'm just going to grab a little bit off and we'll see if this works or not. So I was thinking, what I want to do to cover this up is I'm going to make a little double pocket. So I'm going to have the pocket go up and down, and I think I'm going to tear it on this edge and this edge. And actually, why don't we go ahead and cut this down while we're waiting, so that I can kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. But I can't put this on until I put these underneath, because I want them to be hidden as well. So this may be too long. Well, not once I tear it, probably. So I'm just going to tear the edges a little. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So then I'm going to sew, probably just, well, I'm going to sew, maybe I'll sew around the whole thing. Actually, maybe just these two sides. I'm going to sew this side, and that's all that we're going to glue down. So we're just going to glue down the two sides, And then we will have a little tuck pocket up here and down here, or, you know, you could go all the way through it if you wanted to as well. But now those will be hidden. Now, my idea though was I want to attach this with this gum tape hidden under here. So I think I need to attach that first before I put this pocket on. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to mark where my pocket goes. Maybe. I'm always throwing my pencil in a different spot. And I'm just going to make a little pencil mark so I know that the gum tape can't go past those two marks. So, and we're going to put this down first because then we're going to cover this part as well. And before I do that though, because this isn't going to go right up to the edge, I better cover a little bit of this so that that brown doesn't show, unless I don't mind about that, which I kind of do. So I'm going to grab, because I think I'm going to cover this, once we're done, I'm going to cover this whole thing with this. So I think I'll just cover the edge of this. Yeah, I could use this little spot here. And I'll just maybe make it like an inch or so. Doesn't have to be too much. And I'm going to just put that right on there. Maybe I'll try and line it up so that I can do the corner rounder then. I wonder if I should take this up. Thinking maybe, since I already have that bit covered, I don't really need to go that far. I don't think. I'm gonna get my glue eraser. If you guys have ever seen these. Genius little things to get the glue off when you go over like I just did. Okay, so now let me take a look at that. So when I do this, that'll be there. We'll have our tapes on, and then we'll cover the rest with this so that it all matches together then. Okay, so I have my marks where I know my gum tape can't go farther then. And then I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark where I need to put it down, because I don't have too much room with my fold here. So I want to be sure I don't, you know, end up putting it too close to the inside or something like that. So I'm just going to make a little pencil mark there. So I think that will help me know where I have to put this, I hope. Okay. So now we're going to do this again. And I think, let me just see if these are the right size. Yeah. They might overlap a little bit, but that might be okay. Okay, this one. I'm trying to put it about halfway in the middle here. maybe I will go ahead. And I'm leaving myself a little bit of a gap, I think. I'm going to see if this works. Yes, I think that's what I wanted to do. Let me grab the other one and we'll glue the other one down. And then I'm going to let this dry because I don't want to move on until I'm sure these are good and dry. Okay. I might just put something up against here to hold it like that, because I don't want it to, I want that crease to stay in there. All right, let's let that dry. Okay, we're back again, and my tape now is all dry, and I just went and like creased it down real good because this tape does dry kind of stiff. So I wanted to be sure it has a nice fold, and it does now. So I really like the way that looks. I went ahead and let me try that again. The paper that I tore for our pockets, I went ahead and added some crazy stitching to, just all around the outside edges, just because I thought it was fun. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on because I feel like we've been building and building and we need to start attaching some stuff. So what I'm going to do to attach this one is I'm going to just do the sides, so that if you wanted to slip something all the way through, you could, but you don't have to either. So I'm just going to, on the edges that are straight here, I'm just going to add my glue down this one edge, keeping it, you know, relatively close to the side, and then also down this one edge here. And I think I wanted this side up. And I'm going to center it, hopefully to make sure that my papers over here are nice and covered. And then we're just going to hold this down for a second to let the glue set up, since that twine there in the middle, you know, makes it kind of lumpy. We want to just hold this down for a second to let that catch for me. And then I see, while I'm letting that dry, I see I have a little pencil mark here that I want to get rid of before we go on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So that's all good to go. And then the other thing that I kind of did off camera was prep some of these final pieces because this is getting really long. So let's see where we're at. So, okay, so we're going to leave this here for just a minute. We're going to do some more attaching, and then I'm going to show you sort of the last pieces to build, because now I think we're good to attach some things here. So from the beginning, so this was our front page here. And on this side, I just wanted to put a little pocket. So I created a little pocket piece, and I'm realizing now I didn't sew it, and I do want to sew it around the edges, but I just measured how far up I thought I wanted it to go. It's nothing specific. If you want a number, it is about 2.5 inches, it looks like, wide, and then of course 8 inches high, and I put a little thumb notch in there. So I'm going to sew that around, and we're going to put that on there. On this page, this is where we're putting this piece that we built all together. I did go ahead and start cutting out a background piece for this. So it's right now it's the size it needs to be, but I have a feeling once I put this on, we might need to cut this down. So I'm not going to sew this yet until, you know, we measure that and figure that out. So let me put this back over here and see where we're at. This one I can attach. We are good to go to put this one on. So I am going to go ahead and do that. And I've started writing on my pieces where they go, since I didn't attach everything. Because, you know, as life starts to get in the way and you realize you you know, have 100 other things that are pulling you away from your studio, your craft room. You have to work on them and you come back and you think, what was I doing here? Where was I going to put this? So I started marking things. So, and that is definitely helpful. And this one I'm putting a generous amount of glue on because I certainly don't want this one to come off. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure, because I have a rounded corner here, I'm going to make sure that that gets right into my rounded corner. And I think that looks pretty good. And this is another one of those that I may want to hold for just a minute to be sure that the glue stays down for me, especially on this one side, because it looks like there's a little bit of a lip on here. I may need to go back with some glue and just kind of cover that, make sure it stays down. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit accomplished now. So we got that down, we got that down. So let's talk about what we're going to do here. So what I was thinking we would do here is I have that background piece that I had talked about using before, but I didn't really go into maybe what else we could do. And I thought it would be fun because we have lots of room since we made this nice big 1/2-inch spine area here. We have lots of room to add some stuff here. So I wanted to add a couple of flips in here. So we're going to do two things. We're going to do one flip that goes up like this, and it's going to be very similar to what we did with this to create this flip. Okay, but I'm going to do a pocket on the front part that's here, and then when I flip it up, I'm going to do a little, kind of like a little side pocket, like I don't know if I have that here, kind of like one of these. I'm going to do a little side pocket there. So that's what I'm going to do on that flip. So I'm just going to, all the instructions are the same, except we're going to be putting it from the top down, and I'm not going to be putting one of these on. I'm just going to let it lay since it's going to be right side up and it'll kind of, you know, have gravity to hold it down. I'm not going to use one of these. So I'll probably make it a little bit longer. So I'll show you what I do when I get done with that. And then the next thing I wanted to do, I thought it would be fun to add a couple of pockets underneath here that flip over this way. Since we have this that flips out this way, I thought it would be fun to flip a couple out this way. So to do that, let's go ahead and do that first because I can get that ready pretty quickly here. All right, so what I did was I cut 2 pieces of paper that are 7.5 inches long and 4 inches wide. And so I have two of those. And I did that because I want to have pockets that are 3.5 by 3.5 square. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of score marks on here. So let's decide where I want these to go. Actually, I think I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the first mark I'm going to make is I'm going to make my halfway mark, so my half fold, because these are just going to be half folded pockets. And so I'm going to make it at 3.5. I'm going to make one score at 3.5. And then I want to make the next score at 7 inches, so I have a little 1/2 inch hanging over here. This is going to hold our pocket together on the side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this the other way, and I'm just going to do a 1/2 inch score mark down the whole thing, okay? Because that's going to be our flap that holds it together on the end. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Let me decide how I want to do this one. Okay, I'm going to do a 3.5 inch score and a 7 inch score. And then you're going to turn it the other way and do a 1/2 inch score. Okay, so let's put this away and see what we got. Now we have to do a little bit of cutting here just to get this together. So what I'm going to do, I don't know how easy it's going to be to see my score lines here, but I have my my middle fold here, and then I have my little flap end, my little 1/2 inch here. So all I'm going to do for the 1/2 inch and the bottom here is I'm going to basically cut out this corner at the edge, tapering it off a little bit. So, and then I'm just going to taper this down on this side right to my fold there. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to basically cut this piece all the way off. So I'm going to cut that on the fold. And then I'm going to taper this down this way. So this is what we're going to have. Okay. So I'm going to do this one, the same thing real quick. Okay, and as it turns out, I guess I must have turned these different ways or something like that when I was making them, but this totally doesn't matter that they are opposite. It's completely fine. So all we're going to do, because they're both going to turn out, they're going to both turn out the same way. So I'm just going to fold all of my folds in on each of them. And then to make my pocket, I'm just going to glue everything together. So I'm going to glue down, and I am going to make sure, it looks like I probably didn't cut completely square. Because when I look at this side, you can see I have a little bit hanging over here. So I'm gonna cut that down a little, make sure I get them square. But once I do that, then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little glue to this flap and a little glue to this flap, and then put that down, and that pocket is done. And then I'm gonna just probably add a punch to the top so that you can tell that they're pockets. And I'm gonna go through both layers when I do that. So let me cut this off first, and then we'll get the rest of that done. Okay, I got my other pocket done. So here are my 2 pockets. And what I want to do now is make a couple of hinges, because we're going to have these here and here, and we're going to make them flip like this. I thought that would be fun to do. Okay, so let me, I just grabbed a scrap piece of paper, you know, one of the ones that I had cut out or whatever, and I'm just going to fold it in half. You could use a score line to do this if you wanted to. I'm just going to go ahead and do this because you're not going to see it too much. And then I'm going to, these don't have to be, you know, the same exact height. So I'm just basically going to cut this piece in half. And once again, this is a scrap piece of paper. So I want it to be close to the height of what these are, but it certainly does not have to be exact. So I just want to get somewhere in the ballpark. Now that looks like these are going to be very close, which is good. But once again, you know, as long as you're in the ballpark, you're good. I think I'm going to cut this one down just a little bit because it might have been a little too close. And then I'm also going to just taper the edges of these a little bit. I like to do that because if I do have a hinge that's close to the same size, then I know it won't stick out and show on whatever piece, you know, that I'm putting it on. Okay. So now, the other thing that I want to mention is we could have, before we glued these down, we could have put these hinges in, and that might have been, you know, real smart for me to do, but I never claim to be smart, so we'll just do it a different way. And actually what I'll do, just to make sure I have the pretty side of the paper on my hinges, I'm going to fold it with the pretty side in the valley. So this is one of the light ones. It's hard to see which side is the printed side, but I'm going to make sure that that's in the valley so that when I attach these, I will have them in the valley. And they are just going to show on here, and I am okay with that for this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my, right now I'm just attaching my hinges, so I'm going to decide, what side I want to be the front, what side I want to be the back, and I want this one to be the back, so I'm going to put the hinge on the back right hand side. And the other thing you want to make sure, obviously, is that your hinge doesn't go over your thumb hole if you have one of those. And I just realized I was holding it wrong. So when the hinge is down, and actually what I might do, since this is going to show, I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. So what I'm going to do, your hinge goes against the edge of your pocket. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my cutter and I'm going to cut down the side that's going to show to make it only maybe be about a ½ inch or so, instead of what it is, like I think it's like 3/4 of an inch or something. So we'll just cut it down a little so that you can't really tell too much that it's a hinge. So, and I am going to taper these again, and the reason I'm doing this is so that they'll match. Okay, so that my cuts will match. So now I have one side that is big and one side that is small. And I'll do that on the other one as well, but let me just show you how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to take my glue and put it on my small edge of the hinge there. And then I'm going to carefully line up my hinge fold with the edge of my pocket there. Okay, and so now we have just a little bit showing, but that's okay. It's all part of the experience, And so then what this is going to do is we're going to be able to put this on this side, and these will fold out like this. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to cut down the one hinge end. I'm going to decide which side I want to be my right side, and then we'll put this on. Okay, now I want to make my fold up, and I started working on it already because, like I said, it is like the other one that we did, but I just wanted to give you a couple of tips in case you wanted to know how I did it. So I took the time card and I measured out how low I wanted it to be on my page here, and then I just made a mark and folded the top down, so that's going to be where it attaches here, my flap up here. And then I covered the top part of this side with some of my book paper that I've been using, and then I took a piece of my patterned paper and I just sewed across the top because I'm going to sew around this whole thing, but I wanted to have the top of my pocket sewn as well. So this side is ready to go. Then when it's attached, it's going to flip up like this. So this will be at the top, but I'm just going to bring it down so I can show it to you. So then I cut a couple of more pieces to make a pocket on this side. So I cut a piece of the pattern paper to go on this side, and this was one of the offcuts of something else that I had used, so it doesn't quite cover the whole thing, and that's okay because I'm going to take my pocket, which I decided instead of putting like a notch or something on, I would just put a little tab so you could tell that it's, you know, someplace that you can tuck things into. I thought it might also be fun to go this way, you know, to put it in. So either way, it doesn't matter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew all the way around the tag. Now I did already sew all the way around this piece, but I'm okay with, you know, kind of over sewing that again so that everything is together. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is just sew it all together, and then we'll have this piece ready to go. Okay, our flip is done. You can see I have my pocket here now, and when it flips up, there'll be a little side pocket here to put some stuff in right there. So I love that so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on. We're going to go ahead and start doing some attaching so we can, you know, bring this thing in for a landing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 3-in-1 here, and I'm just going to put it on my tab up on the top here. And I'm going to make sure that my flip is very close to the top. So I'm just going to turn this around so I can see a little bit better here. Oh, hello. Things caught up and everything. Okay. So when I flip it up, I want the very top to be at the very top, if not just a teeny bit above it. So this is very close, but it's not, it's maybe just a touch above it. It's very hard to see, but it's close to being right above that. Okay. So that part's there. And then let's go ahead and put our envelopes in here as well. And when I do these, I am going to line these up right with the hinge itself, so that I'll have enough room. I may even have to cut a little bit off this edge of the, you know, the background paper, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to add glue to my hinge here. And then I'm going to decide, you know, do I want this at the top or the bottom? I think I'm going to put this one at the bottom. And then we'll put the next one in. Okay. And because of the size, I have a little bit of room, you know, to decide if, you know, how high I want it to go, how low I want it to go. I'm leaving myself a little bit at the top so that if I put something in there, if it comes above the top a little bit, it'll be, you know, it won't get hit too hard with the flap. It won't get in the way of the flap, I should say. All right, so now let's go ahead and put our background page in as well. Actually, I think I'm going to wait because these are not quite dry, and I don't want to put that in before it's completely dry. So I'm going to let them go a little bit, and we'll go back to here because I did get this part sewn, this little pocket that we're going to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. And since I have it glued all around there, I'm just going to add my glue to my 3 sides. And this is another reason I like to stitch around things, because I find that the stitching gives the glue, you know, just something additional to hang on to. Okay, whoops. We're just going to put that down like that. Move this out of the way and get the glue off of my fingers. So we have another one that needs to dry a little bit here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start working on this piece. So this is what's going to attach to here. Let me move this out of the way. We'll let these dry a little bit. So what I want to do before I attach these is I'm going to, so these two are going to go together on that inside page. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to attach this to this, and then we'll attach them both inside. Now, when I'm going to attach this, I'm going to, because this piece is kind of thick, I'm going to add just a little bit of a gap here. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to add like maybe 1/8 of an inch to my fold. So I have this fold here and my stitching goes a little bit over the fold. So I'm going to line it up with the edge of my stitching, my middle line here, this 6 line, just so I can see. And then I'm going to make my score mark here at 1/8 of an inch past that. Okay, so now when I fold at that line, I'll have a little bit of extra room for this to fold over. So let me just kind of show you what that looks like. So when we attach this to here, and we'll line it up with that little score mark, now this will lay nice and flat because we have that little bit of, you know, kind of like an extra spine here, okay? So that's going to work good. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to make sure that this, you have to decide where you want it. So if you want it at the bottom or if you want it at the middle, I think I kind of want it at the middle or close to the middle. So I'm going to turn this over and I just want to check because I don't want to end up gluing down, you know, this flap to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where this goes on my flap and I'm going to put the glue on the flap so that I don't end up, because this goes over top and I might end up gluing it, you know, to this piece, which I don't want. So I'm just going to add my glue into here. Actually, I think I'm going to open this up a little bit too, so that I really don't make a mistake here. Okay. And now this is going to go on here. Now, let's see how I'm going to do this, because I want to be sure. I think I'm going to have to fold it over just so I know where I'm going with this. So I'm going to fold this over here. I'm going to make sure I have it right side up, because that would be my luck. Okay, and this. All right, here we go. So it's going to go on like this. Okay, so I have to be sure that this one lines up with my second little score mark that I just made. And I'm going to do that. And you can see I have a little extra glue because I didn't realize I didn't cover it there. But now I'm going to just make sure that this stays down. And we'll let this dry so that extra glue doesn't end up sticking to something we don't want it to. So I'm going to just put this aside for a second. Our other stuff is probably done. So let's go back to that. So now we have our 2 little flaps, our 2 little pockets here. Those are so cute. All right, and now I'm going to put this piece down. And I am, like I said, I'm going to double check because of the hinges that we added here. I think I'm going to need to, well, maybe not. I was thinking I might need to add, or I'm sorry, to cut off a little bit of this paper to be sure it wouldn't crinkle up in something, but I don't think it's going to. Actually, I think that we're going to be, let me put these both down and then double check again. Yeah, I think that's going to be all right if I do it that way. I like that. And then this will come down over top. So I love the way this is coming together. Okay. So let's go ahead and see if we can glue this down. And this will get glue all over it. All over. And I'm starting to, I don't know about you, but if you get to the bottom of your glue, sometimes it starts pushing itself out. I don't know if it's because the glue is thicker and there's not as much air in there or something, and it pushes itself out. I don't know. I'm sure there's some sort of science behind it, but now I have to be real sure I put my top back on so that I don't have glue oozing out all over the place like I did earlier. Okay. So now I'm going to carefully put this down, and before I really set it, I want to be sure that my pockets fold over without any creasing going on. And that folds over nicely, which it does. Oop, I wanted this to go over here like that. There we go. It's coming together. I'm so excited. Okay, now we have to finish this up. Now, the only other thing that we need to do is the back side. So I was thinking I would leave this open because I thought it might be fun to put it into like, to put it into a journal as a back piece or something. So, you know, to put it like this into a journal so that you could open it up, or even into the front or something. But I may just put this into a, or put a back piece on this, because I thought it might be fun to add this to the inside of a journal, like a signature. So I'll show you that when we get this last part done. So let's see, let's make sure this is nice and dry here, which I think that it is. And that folds over nicely, and we do have it right side up. Which is always an important thing. Okay, so now I can put this piece down. So what I'm going to do is kind of the same thing we did with our flips on the other page. Is I'm just going to glue the edge here, and we're going to line it up and glue it down here first. And then once we've done that, we can put our background paper on here. And I'll probably do some, like I said, I'll probably do some additional cutting on this because I need to round an edge and make sure it's lined up and stuff. But I want to get this on first before I do any of that, so that my measurements will be correct. All right, so let's just, since this isn't going to wrap around anything, I don't have to worry about, you know, putting it on one side or another. I'm just going to make sure I get glue up to my little hinge line there. Get that top back on. And then we're going to make sure it goes very close to this fold that we have up here. And make sure you have it aligned from top to bottom as well. So I'm just going to open this up and kind of get my hand in there, and then we will let this dry good, because I certainly don't want to start anything until I have this good and dry, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, my flip is now dry, and I went ahead and measured this because I did want to sew it, and it turns out I was okay. So I made sure that, you know, the size of it with the corner round that I needed to do here fit okay with this flap. So that was what I was worried about. I didn't want to have this side be going over the crease or something. So I went ahead and checked that, but we are good. So now all I have to do is put this down, and then I think, well, it's going to need a little decoration, I think, too, but the basics, the building block part is done. And now I'm just making sure once again that I have good coverage on this piece, since it's going all the way down. There's nothing, I'm not leaving any pockets or anything on this one. All right, so let's get this on there. And I'm kind of going to put my rounded edge down first, so I know that I have that right where I want it. And then the other thing that I'll probably do is go through, I'll add some decoration to some of it probably. But then I also want to go through and cut off some of these strings. I do love the string look here, but there's just so many of them that I might go and take some of them off. So, all right, let's take one final look at everything. And just so you know, well, we'll get to the end when I'll tell you that. So we have our front flap here with our, and I'm just going to grab, let's see if I can find just a little piece of something here to kind of show you the pockets and everything that we have. So we have an envelope here with a pocket. We have a small envelope that goes this way with a pocket. And then when you turn this over, there's a nice big pocket here. We have a big pocket here, and I love this little window here that you can see something through it. And then when you open this up, there's a tuck spot right here. There's a tuck spot here, and this opens up. And then you have another little pocket down here with nice room for writing right there. And then this opens up this way. We have a pocket here, a pocket here, a pocket here, and then this, whoops, put this back on. That's it. And then you open this way, and there's a nice spot for writing on both of these sides here. And then when you turn the page here, you have your pocket here and a pocket here. And then this flips open. We have a pocket here. Open it up, and we have a little tuck spot here. And we have these two little pockets here and here. And these flip over. And we have a writing space here. And then this last piece, which I didn't open up, when you open this up, we have this accordion pocket that we made that you can put all sorts of things in there. So I'll tie that in a minute. And then I did go ahead and add something to the back. So I had some of this tape on here, and I kind of thought it looked sort of like a little notebook spine there. I thought that was kind of fun. So I left some of that there, and then I just added a piece here to make sure everything was covered up. But that is it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed making this with me. And actually, before I go, I wanted to show you how this might look inside of a journal. Now, I do, you could sew this into your journal if you wanted to, but I'm just going to show you what it would look like. You could just put it right into a journal like this. So obviously, you would want to make sure the height of your journal would cover this. And let me go ahead and tie this up so we can really get a look at how this might look inside of a journal. Oops, didn't do so good on that one. Okay, so you can see if I have my journal here and I have, other pages of things here, when you get to it as a signature, you could just fold everything out and this would come along nicely right in a journal, and then you could keep going in your journal. So I love the way it turned out, friends. And I hope you enjoyed making this with me. If you did, please give this a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I hope that you'll do that. And I'll see you in the next video, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.